What's going on, everybody? Welcome to an episode of Video Game Bang, Sacramento's self-proclaimed #1 geek and gaming podcast, as voted on by the people of Sacramento Magazine and Podcast Quarterly.
Those are both lies.
You don't know that?
He's gonna go on the internet and lie to people?
Yeah. That's 90% of the internet. 95% of Tinder. You heard her voice, everybody. Emmaskies is in the house.
Hello.
That was, I built up that intro, and it was very, hello.
You know what? Go fuck yourself.
Taylor is back.
What's up?
Welcome back, Taylor. Good to have you.
Yeah, always fun to be here.
You wearing your Shock jersey?
Oh, you know it.
I'm also wearing my Shock shirt.
I think he does know it because you're sitting right there.
Yeah.
You can see it.
If you're watching us on twitch.tv/videogame_bang, then you know that I do know it because I am sitting right next to him. He's wearing his Kingsguard hat, who unfortunately did not have as good of luck as the Shock today. But Curtis is here, everybody.
We were close, man. We didn't lose by a lot, but I saw Webb. You were watching that game too, and you were up in there tweeting and everything. Let's go, Kingsguard. Let's go.
I had the Shock game up on the projector at Oblivion, and I had NBA 2K on my phone. And I personally, my teams, I went 1-1 today.
Hey, that's not, hey, 50% ain't bad in sports.
Hey,
that's
bad.
500, so you're good.
But yeah, no, you're right. Kingsguard, they almost squeaked it out. They were super close. They thought, what was the Bucks? The Bucks, what seed were they?
The Bucks. So it was well, in this particular tournament, I don't remember what seed they were, but I remember that both teams got out of the first round. So that was the
that was the
semifinals.
quarterfinals.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it was the Bucks that took out the Pacers, and the Pacers were like the #1 seed, and I think the Bucks were like 16th seed. And I was like, damn. And then the 8th seed got beat by the 9th seed.
Yep.
It was quite a match. But yeah, so but good job, Kingsguard. You guys, I know you guys listen, and you guys did well. We are sponsored by Energy Esports, Vast GG, Mainframe USA, and Oblivion Comics and Coffee, which is where I was today watching the Shock game. They also have beer, so Oblivion Comics, Coffee, and beer, and pastries, and new paninis.
Ooh, are we going there tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do it tomorrow. Mother's Day brunch.
Yeah, let's do it. I did Mother's Day today.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day if you are listening to the show on the podcast version. Happy Mother's Day yesterday.
I know my mom listens. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Miss Mom.
That's our Mother's Day right there. That's our Mother's Day.
That's it?
That's what happens when you live across the country from your mother. That's your Mother's Day.
Oh, that's your Mother's Day. Do you want to take a minute to
No.
see something? No?
No.
Okay. Like have like a mimosa or something?
No.
Like a virtual mimosa?
The moment's gone.
Celebrate
The moment
okay.
is gone.
Love
you, Mom.
Cory is actually in...
Not here.
Yeah, he's not here. Where's the tournament? Is it Burbank?
Burbank.
Why did I think it was in like New York or something?
Why
for,
would
like,
it be
the
in
finals?
New York?
I thought it was gonna be like for like the finals.
This is a riveting
This
conversation.
is a stage.
Oh, it's just a stage.
Just riveting.
Cory's in Burbank for the Shock finals. They went 4-0 today. They had to win.
Yeah, they did.
Best of 4 maps. First to four. And they said, okay, we'll do it in 1 game. And 20 minutes later, it was over. They played the Spark.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Well, they played somebody. I don't know if it was actually the Spark because they were just kind of like.
I think it was their juniors team.
It was the contenders.
Yeah.
For the Spark because they just got steamrolled.
I feel like contenders might have actually contended.
They may have held their own. So Shock moves on to the finals tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah. So Saturdays are Web Talks, and we do a topic of conversation. And this week, I thought it'd be cool to talk about gaming sequels, video game sequels. And it's all in light of the new Ghost Recon Breakingpoint that's coming out. That is the sequel to Ghost Recon Wildlands.
This is not Punisher the game?
It's not Punisher the game.
I mean...
Are you sure, though? What is it?
No, I'm not.
It might be Frank Castle the game.
It's Frank Castle. I mean, actually, he is a good guy that then kind of becomes a bad guy.
So it is Punisher the game.
So it is Punisher. That's why they canceled the
And
Netflix
you're missing
series.
the joke. The guy that plays the Punisher, John Bernthal, is in this new Ghost Recon game.
He is in the new, yes. And so Ghost Recon Wildlands came out a couple years ago, and I was talking about this with a good friend of the show. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, Aaron Carter. and Steven Gutierrez.
Yeah.
They're
That's
good friends. Yeah, they're fans of the show, and we were talking about how good of a game this is and how we feel it went under the radar. Taylor brought up a good point in the pre-show, how they just had a poor launch, which I think they did. There were a lot of bugs and glitches.
But what came out at the same time, like shortly after?
What was it?
There was something that came out and it
got
just
eclipsed by something.
It didn't give them any time to recover. It wasn't The Division, was it?
Oh, was it The Division? No, Division's
Was it
been
their
out longer
first
than
expansion?
That. Maybe it was their first expansion. I'll let you guys look it up. Ghost Recon Wildlands, it came out. It did have a rough launch. I know initially the driving mechanics, the flying mechanics were awful. It was almost like I will walk the virtual 20,000 miles across Bolivia instead of trying to fly in a helicopter to go to the next mission. It's just gonna be easier. And but they fixed all that. And just the sheer open world, it's open world, like the epitome of it. Great example is so I'm behind in the missions. Steven and Aaron have already either beaten the game or beaten like 99% of the game. And there's a mission where you had to fight your way up into like a stronghold. And so that's how they did it. And it took them a few tries and they wiped a couple times and a restart. Then when I played with them, I go, why don't we just fly over here? So in a helicopter in the dead of night, we flew up to the base. Nobody saw us. Aaron parachuted down, interrogated the guy that we needed to be interrogating. I landed enough for him to jump on, and then we flew away and did not have to shoot one person. And that's the beauty of this game, is there's no right or wrong way to do 98% of the missions. And so the sequel coming out, Ghost Recon Breakingpoint, is taking all of the great things about this game and just kind of building upon it. So it's still going to be open world. It's going to have the same mechanics. You're going to have vehicles. You're going to have drones. You're going to have all the cool stuff, except they're going to make it a little bit more survival based. So you're going to have stamina, which you have stamina in Wildlands, but it's only known by all of a sudden you're not sprinting anymore and you're breathing heavily. Like
there's no like on-screen prompt for it?
No, there's no on-screen prompt for it. Now there is. Now there's a HUD and there's a bar that goes down and it looks like you're about to die. Also, when you get injured, you have to bandage yourself up. You have to drink and eat things in order to maintain energy and stamina. Lots of cool things like that. I was talking before the show. One of the cool things that they're doing is, first of all, they're putting smoke grenades in the game, which as a player you don't have access to in Wildlands. And you in the trailer you can drop. They dropped a smoke grenade and their teammate was down, and instead of having to sit there and heal them like you have to do in Wildlands, you could pick them up and carry them to cover and then heal them.
Hey, that's cool.
Right? And then when you're healed as that injured player, you are back up and you're standing, but you're not at 100% health. Then you have to sit there and you have to bandage yourself up and you have to like take some water or whatever and then get back into the fight.
Nice.
But the really cool thing how they're doing this is the DLC that's coming out for Wildlands in the very near future is basically setting you up for the sequel. And the DLC is free, like
I was gonna say, so they're gonna make you pay for DLC before you have to play this.
No,
it's free.
It's completely
Good
free.
Pre-order
like,
bonus.
A pre-order bonus, yeah. But it's Ubisoft.
Oh,
Yeah.
good for them.
All of the DLC for Wildlands has been free, and they did a Predator. Wait, are you shocked?
I'm making a face, and there's free DLC.
That's free DLC.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Who knew? Who knew that you could just put
Oh,
content
also,
out and
I
support
checked.
your players?
The same month as Ghost Recon Wildlands was Breath of the Wild
I saw that.
and Nier Automata.
But there was something that like filled that shooter void.
Mass Effect Andromeda, same month.
Ooh.
And then I think the thing that really killed it, I think the one that really like eclipsed all those, Rock Band VR came out the same month.
Oh shit, that was it.
That'll do it.
That was the one.
Was it. That did it.
That's a game I totally knew existed.
Rock.
Nut.
Why are you calling me out
What's
like
the
that?
point of that?
What is the point? Okay, before we get too far off on Guitar Hero VR, yeah. So all the DLC has been free, and what's cool is so this one that's coming out, it's going to set you up for what the sequel is going to have, and you in one of the missions you play as a character who then in the sequel is the antagonist. So basically, this is setting you up for the sequel, and you find out why he's the antagonist in the sequel, and then you go and play the sequel, and there he is. You have to fight him.
Fair enough.
He's also a ghost.
I'll be pissed if it's because his family gets murdered.
He did have a skull patch.
The original fridge.
Super ragey.
One of the things in the trailer that did not make a whole lot of sense to me is they added stealth into the game. And by stealth, I mean you're in the mud and you hit the button to activate stealth and you roll on your side, take some mud and wipe your face and then just don't move. It's the equivalent of Drax eating Cheetos and saying that he's invisible. You're still in a bright-ass red t-shirt in the mud in the middle of the jungle, but magically the mud on your face makes you invisible.
That's how it works.
Yeah,
Yeah, it worked for Schwarzenegger in Predator. Just put a bunch of mud on.
They're
fine.
They're also in a made-up island this time around. In Wildlands, they were in Bolivia, and Bolivia was pissed because
The whole country
of Bolivia was pissed.
They took a poll.
And Reuters reported that.
Raiders.
Damn it! I thought for sure I had it right this time. I was even gonna look at you like, yeah, I got it right this time. Fuck. Reuters took a poll and said the joke's gone now. Bolivia was pissed because Ubisoft painted them in like this war-torn, drug-filled country, which, to be fair, I mean, it might actually be. I've never been to Bolivia. If you listen in Bolivia,
I was about to ask.
Tweet the show at
and yell at
What's Up
David.
Pizzas. And go ahead and tell me if I'm wrong or not, and tell me about how great Bolivia is. All that to say, so this week we wanted to talk about video game sequels, the good, the bad, the pointless. I do have a list, 15 pointless sequels. Before we get into that, I thought it would be cool to go around and talk about some of our own, favorite or non-favorite sequels. Emma, let's start with you. What are some sequels that you enjoyed playing?
The first thing, when I think about a sequel that I loved, I think Halo 2 is like the obvious one because we all are obsessed with Halo here. Yeah. So Halo 2 is like the obvious one that we're all like, you all know we're going to talk about that. So that's like, that already exists. We all know the reasons for that. But the first thing that comes to mind when I was thinking about this, Dishonored 2. Mm-hmm. I am obsessed with that franchise, and I was like, not worried for 2, but it's one of those where you're just like, you hope it can live up, and it really does. And it's like the same thing you're talking about with Wildlands. Like, it takes everything that was really good about the first game, it keeps all of that stuff. It doesn't take out things that you don't want, but it keeps all of the good, and then it just builds on it in a way that doesn't feel it's not too much, it's not pointless, it's not like we just wanted to change this thing, so we changed this thing. Like, it's so fucking good.
See, so when you have companies who did Dishonored?
The Arcane Studios and Bethesda.
Really?
Yeah.
So I was gonna do a whole bit about like game companies and just make it up like, oh, we'll just call it Bethesda, who doesn't know how to do a sequel to a game and keep all the good, but so they know how to take a sequel and build upon the good.
Yeah.
And they just said fuck you to Fallout, and we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want.
To be fair, it's Arcane did it very, very well.
Way more credit to the developer.
Yeah, Arcane does it, and then Bethesda gives them a name and gives them some money.
Sticker.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Arcane is really good because Arcane did Prey as well.
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no, Dishonored 2. Have you ever played Dishonored?
No.
You did, right?
Yeah.
Have you played both of them?
I played a little bit of the second one because I didn't own it, but it was everything that you would hope for.
It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good, and it's
I've
one of those.
Seen you play it.
It's.
I felt the same playing like BioShock sequels, where it was like, this is a better game building on the same story.
Interesting, because I have BioShock 2 in my bad sequels list.
Interesting.
BioShock 2 is terrible.
Also in.
I have Fallout 3 in my bad
Fight
sequels
me.
list.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Interesting.
So we'll get to there in a second.
Yeah.
But why is BioShock 2 on your like good sequels list?
No, I just think it was a good sequel. I felt the same playing BioShock 2 that I did playing Dishonored 2, where it was like, this is a fun game that builds on the first.
I felt like BioShock 2 was. It didn't build enough on the first. Like, it rehashed a lot of plot points. It rehashed all the mechanics and, like, didn't really give you anything new. We talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about BioShock. BioShock 2 was so, like, literally forgettable that I forgot playing it.
That was Mass Effect 2 for me.
Yeah, you did. You did talk about that. How you were like, I don't remember any part of this.
But I have all the achievements for finishing the whole game. And I could not fucking tell you what that game's about.
That Lord of the Rings scene.
I remember
I have no memory
the big
of this
sister.
Mm-hmm.
I remember she screams. And that's about it. That's about my memory of that game.
The little sister.
No, the big sister.
Oh, the big sister.
Yeah. They're like
see, here I am
previous
forgetting
version
about
of the
it
Big
too.
Daddy.
Yeah.
See?
Ah.
Okay, a little controversy. So why is Fallout 3 on your bad sequels list?
I think it's a terrible Fallout game. So is 4. So is New Vegas. So is every
So
Fallout.
VGB is not associated with Taylor at all.
Well, hang on. Let's clarify.
I think that Fallout 3 and everything beyond are good games. I don't think they're very good Fallout games. Because 1 and 2 were so phenomenal in their genre that to completely change the genre on the entire fan base was ridiculous.
But at that point, you have more that are the other kind than are the original kind. So isn't it that the original 2 are now not Fallout games because they're outweighed by the amount that are the other kind?
That didn't make any sense.
Because now you
so
have...
are the originals no longer what they are?
Because there's
a sociological debate in there.
New Vegas, 4 and 76 versus 1 and 2. So you have 4 games versus 2 games.
Okay.
So don't those 4 games now make up what it means to be a Fallout game?
Games could give me as much entertainment and fun as 30 minutes in one of the other 2, then maybe.
Fair enough. I got nothing. I played... It's the same thing. I've played Fallout 3, and I was like... I went to play it again, because I was like, I think I played like 5 minutes of this, and I never finished it. Like, I just want to play this again. And I went back in, and my save file was like 22 hours. I was like, what?
Yeah. Oh, I sunk a ton of time.
I was like, I don't remember any of this.
Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed playing Fallout 3, but I felt like, this should just be called something else.
Fair enough.
Curtis? Be a different game.
True. We're doing sequels that we like right now?
Either or. Fuck it. There's no fucking... We have no...
we got time. I don't have
There's no rules.
We have no rules. We have no structure. We're clearly very prepared for this.
For sure.
Just give us your general thoughts on sequels.
Oh, man. So for me, it's easy because a sequel that I think is good just happens to be my favorite game of all time, which is Resident Evil 2, the original.
Okay.
Yep.
It was everything that everybody enjoyed about Resident Evil 1. And, the little extra content that we got in Resident Evil Director's Cut. They took all of that and they took it to the next level, and they didn't take it so far away. They didn't really take it far away at all, but they made improvements with the graphics, of course. The puzzles got better. Just everything was overall just more gratifying, and I love the fact that we got 2 whole different discs of content this time. So whereas before you could start your mission in Resident Evil 1 as Chris Redfield or as Jill Valentine.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
No. You got Claire was on the second one, so you could do Claire and you can do Leon in the second one. Mm-hmm. But you got two different discs, so you got way more content to dive into both of them. And how different, and that's the other thing that was great too, is they made both of their missions that much more different in the second one. So I just love, still love to this day Resident Evil 2.
What's a bad one?
Ooh, a bad one. Let's see. Do I have to dig that much for that one? Oh, I play I use so little of my time playing bad games, but if I had to think of a bad one, I guess I could just jump out at. Okay, so this one was so bad that it didn't even come out, although I did eventually get to play it, and it was the original Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah, that's actually on one of the lists I have for one of the 11 worst video games.
Oh, no way. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. Okay, so it's that bad. I mean, it's so bad that they... And when I say bad, it's not that the game was engineered bad per se, but they took a game that people really enjoyed and they made it way too hard. Like, way too hard.
2 is very hard to play.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I got the Mario Lost Levels, and it was like some levels that they didn't put in the game, and then the original number 2, which only got released in Japan as Super Mario Brothers 2, and I jumped in. I was like, oh wow, this is really interesting, and I just remember like I couldn't get far at all.
Yeah,
It was just angering. and I just remember I just didn't really play it after that. So I would say that would definitely be my probably worst sequel of all time.
Was that your first rage quit?
That probably was my first rage
it's old
quit. Wow. Yeah. Wow. You just took me back to Marina, California, 1993. Yeah, that was probably my first rage quit.
I was just there.
Were you?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shout out to
You
the
hear
831.
wind chimes and I was in this vignette.
The year is 1993.
Focus on
Curtis
young
is going to
Curtis.
smash everything.
It will be the first and the last time he smashes everything.
So, what are some of throw some out there?
All right, so I think
Zelda 2.
some of the good ones.
To what?
Zelda 2.
Oh, I thought you said there's only 2.
No.
Zelda 2 as good or bad?
Terrible.
Yeah,
Fair
that's
enough.
on the worst.
It's a side-scrolling game.
Ooh, that's wrong.
Is it?
It is.
Why?
Excellent
Good
question.
question.
I think that's what everybody was wondering.
Well, we've gotten 2 bad ones from you. So what are your good ones?
Spear of Destiny is probably my favorite sequel of all time. It's the sequel to the original Wolfenstein.
Oh, okay.
So-
Oh, wow. Wait. Oh, you're talking about the OG
Like the
Wolfenstein on
old one.
PC?
Yeah, this is when... It's a
Wow.
DOS game.
That's the first.
DOS was a operating
I am
system.
aware of that. Fuck you.
Yo.
I mean, Spear of Destiny came out in like 92. Like, it's real
I've seen
old.
Office Space, okay?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So it's a super old game, but I absolutely loved it. But it's one of those sequels where you didn't need anything changed, so they didn't really change much, and it was still just as good as the first.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Wolfenstein. Oh, gosh. I didn't realize that was a sequel to it because I had played that game.
Yeah.
Well, I remember Wolfenstein. I was on the bus in, gosh, I don't even remember what grade I was in, 2nd grade. And my bus driver was like, I was talking to him about video games, and he was like, have you ever played Wolfenstein? I was like, no. Literally the next day, he brought me a red floppy. Well, the 2nd-gen floppy that wasn't actually floppy.
Oh, the hard that you
Yeah.
throw
Plastic
half
ones?
3/4 inch.
Yeah.
The save button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He brought me one of those, and I took it home. Well, I took it to my grandfather's because he's the only one that had like a laptop that I could use at the time. Played the heck out of that game. I had no idea
a
that
plot
was a
twist.
sequel
Yeah.
to.
So Spear of Destiny is the sequel to Wolfenstein.
Wow, sick.
Wow.
Good to know.
You know, it was one that changed a lot of how the game worked, or at least how the story was structured, but was really good, was Crash Warped.
I loved the Crash games.
They're so good, but Crash Warped is so, like, it's structured so differently from the first 2 games, but it's the best one. I will fight anybody. That of the original trilogy and the Crash games, Crash Warped is easily the best one.
I'll have to play them again. They're
Yeah, I
so
didn't
much
play
fun
them.
to play.
I would say to play the reboot, but don't. Don't. It's really bad.
Really?
Yeah, like Crash Warped in the reboot is fine, but the problem was that when they were putting all 3 games into one, they wanted to make it like fluid from game to game, but that's not, like, the games came out so far apart, and like you know, when they originally released, there were changes in how the games worked, there were changes in physics, there were changes in controls, but they wanted everything to be the same game to game to game. And
Okay.
instead of actually going through and changing anything to make it like that, they just took all of the controls and the physics from Warped and put that into 1 and 2. So it's ridiculously hard. It is infuriatingly difficult because the physics don't work right in the first 2 games. I haven't finished. I did not finish. I've only played Warped because I played like a few hours of the first game, and it was just maddeningly difficult.
Yeah, I heard that was a really big downfall.
It was
when they
really
came out with
bad.
that.
The Spyro reboot was really good, but the Crash one was really bad.
See, I think there's only like a few bad Zelda games, and there's so many of them, right? There's all the ones for the CDI that are just terrible, like just not even worth looking at.
Wait,
Never-
those are the ones that were like animated.
Yeah, so, some live action. So some of them are animated, but
Right.
like one of them, Zelda's Adventure.
I've never played a Zelda game in my life,
think
so
Zelda's
I have no
Adventure.
idea what we're talking about.
Oh wow,
Hers is the worst because it's like live action.
that's crazy.
Oh no, was it like one of those FMV games?
No, I mean there's just like while you're playing around, it's just bad.
Is it like Myst?
Now you have to play it. No, it's less. It's more real time than Myst.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That might be a new VGB segment or like show that we do, playing really terrible games.
Oh god.
Oh, it's one of the worst.
Speaking of really terrible games, how have we not talked about Duke Nukem Forever?
Oh,
That's on the list.
Of
Yeah.
course it is, because it's like the worst sequel ever made.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but-
Can you
So-
imagine
talk
waiting
about it.
20 years for that game?
13, but you know,
we'll
it
bounce
was
back.
all 13 of your years when it came
It was.
out, right?
It was all
Yeah.
13 of my years. No, I remember.
Lord.
I remember getting that because I was actually excited. I liked the old Duke Nukem games. that I had been able to
fun.
play.
Duke Nukem
Terrible.
Forever.
But every Duke Nukem game is bad. But
like,
it has to be bad. There's nothing serious about it.
I don't know. I felt like Duke Nukem Forever, like the game, like the story is always supposed to be pretty stupid. Like that's just this genre, the style of it. But like the mechanics of Duke Nukem Forever are really bad.
Yeah.
And the story is like over the top horrible.
But there's a lot of expectations for modern shooters compared to like old school shooters.
What year did that come out? Does it say?
Does this say? It does not say.
I know it was 360.
So to go with our conversation, I have a couple lists pulled up. 11 worst video game sequels of all time and 11 greatest video game sequels of all time. And we can go through this as we talk about our own and kind of debate whether these are wrong or not. But on the list for 11 worst, Duke Nukem Forever, and the first sentence, tell me if this rings true to you guys. There are many reasons that playing the infamous Duke Nukem Forever is like dipping your hands in a warm bag of someone else's piss.
That's about right.
Oh, wow.
That's about right.
I did not play any of the Duke Nukem games, so
I played various bits and pieces
zero.
of like old Duke Nukem games, like Duke Nukem 3D and that kind of stuff. But like
they were fun, but it was just...
It was very surface level. Like it came like a cult classic.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
people just
totally.
decided that it was amazing.
It had the Leisure Suit Larry thing going for it, where it was like risque to play.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, because you could like take drugs and steroids and
Pay
you know,
strippers.
Yeah, exactly. Like
So
all
Grand
the
Theft
stuff
Auto.
that like my mom
Piss on people. or
yeah
whatever.
didn't want me exposed to.
So Duke Nukem Forever came out in 2011. So it was 15 years after Duke Nukem 3D.
Nice.
Jeez.
So bad. I
And-
can't even.
I think 13 years since
20
they announced they were developing it.
Right.
2011 doesn't even seem like it was that long ago.
That was 8 years ago.
I know. God, I'm getting old.
Getting.
Yeah. I feel like you passed that one already.
Both of you are older than me.
You're
Yeah,
old.
That doesn't change anything.
So a couple of my favorites that I've played, obviously Halo 2, as Emma mentioned. I think,
gimme.
yeah, it's a gimme one. Smash Bros. Melee, I think would be a sequel that I really
I hear that
enjoyed.
a lot. Like Melee. That was the one on the Wii U, wasn't it?
No, that was the one
Or was
on
it
the
the one on
GameCube.
the-
GameCube.
That was the one on the GameCube. Which, and conversely,
Brawl was
the Brawl on the Wii is on my list of least favorite sequels.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The controls were weird. It was wonky.
Is that why I don't
Slipping.
see anyone playing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
Exactly
stupid
why.
slipping and tripping
like-
mechanic, you would just
Oh, yeah.
randomly slip
It's like
Yeah.
Double
when you're
Dash.
playing.
Is that...
No, fuck you. Double Dash is amazing. Fight me. Double Dash is on my list of favorite video game sequels of all time. I fucking love Double Dash.
Okay.
I like it better than than any of the other Mario Karts.
Whoa.
Yeah, fight me. Also, for the same reason that you don't like it, I like Fallout 3 because I hated 1 and 2. I remember I played when I was like because I casually played video games, my entire life. But when I was like, okay, I'm gonna get into this, I'm gonna invest actual time into this. I was like, all right, well,
It was all
Fallout-
downhill from there.
It was. Fallout is a really big game, so I don't want to miss anything. So let me start 1, and I'll just work my way through the series. And I bought 1, and I was like, the fuck is this shit?
When do I shoot stuff?
When I shoot, I have to wait to shoot? No, that doesn't make any sense. The next day is when Steam announced their return policy. So I was like, hey, return. Because fuck this. And then I talked to Cory, and he was like, no, don't. You start at 3.
That's what everybody says. Start
Yeah,
at 3.
it's
Start at 3.
it's honestly, it is a good game. It just
Yeah.
has the wrong name, in my opinion.
You know what's like that as well is Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
Phenomenal sequel, but wildly different than Half-Life 1.
Yeah.
Which I actually really want to play. I have Half-Life
was-
and Half-Life Blue Shift
What
and
was
whatever.
the name of the town that you go through, the really dark towns, like Ravenholm or something?
Yes,
like that
that
I
is
loved
the
that.
best level in that game.
I
Oh my god.
loved it.
My shit is getting the gravity gun and all the fucking saw blades.
Saw blades, yes.
That is the best. Oh my god. Half-Life 2 is so goddamn good.
Yeah.
Never played any of the Half-Life.
Can't wait for it to like end. I'm waiting.
Never gonna happen. Half-Life 2
At
is
episode
good.
3, it's coming.
Half-Life 2 Episode 2 is good. Or no, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. If you ever get... Do you have a 360?
No.
Do you want one? I got an extra.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I will give you... Well, no,
Just
I will let
ask,
you
dude.
borrow the orange box.
I know.
Anything you need, just hit me up. I might have it. You need Vive? Somebody's borrowing that.
Someone's borrowing.
Yeah. Can't have that right now. Half-Life 2 is fucking good.
Yes.
That's a phenomenal game.
Absolutely. And yeah, so I guess we're going beyond just like the second one in the series.
Yeah, no. It could be any of the sequels that follow it. So like conversely, I would say I really liked GTA 5. Before that, I played GTA 3, so it was a big difference for me.
I mean, Vice City was okay.
I never played Vice City.
Wasn't that the third? Oh,
No,
that wasn't
was
the third.
No, the third.
Yeah. I remember. That was the first of the 3D ones.
Yeah, it was the first.
Wasn't the
3D
first
one.
GTA top-down?
So it was the
First
second.
two, yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Jesus.
top down.
Yeah.
Yikes.
The strippers
They
are really
changed the
pixelated.
genre.
It's not GTA
Should not be
anymore.
GTA, guys. It should be, I don't know, Gran Turismo or something.
You know what's a franchise?
Let's not talk about Final Fantasy. Then.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Lord. Oh,
Yeah.
Lord. You know what though?
Final Fantasy,
that
there's
transition
17 of
was
them.
so smooth.
It was.
There's
though.
way
I mean,
more
no
than
lie.
17 Final Fantasies.
That's ridiculous.
There's like 30 something.
I pulled that
The
number out of
only
my
experience I
ass.
have with Final Fantasy is the movie, the Spirits Within movie.
Oh yeah, I saw.
Oh.
Not
that
any-
movie.
Yeah.
Not even Advent Children.
No.
Oh.
Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within is my only
We have to-
interaction
Look, that
with
movie
Final
was
Fantasy.
that movie was
Uncanny
dope,
Valley.
but it had
I loved it.
nothing to
3D.
do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a big advancement in like CGI
people.
Yeah. Now if you go back and watch it, you're like, oh Jesus.
Yeah,
Like, the Uncanny Valley.
N64.
I want to watch it.
I played Final Fantasy 15.
But what's the best
That's too
Final
many.
Fantasy?
That's too many
and
games.
Why is it
Stop
9?
making those.
Why are there 15? Because honestly,
Loaded question.
honestly, I played Final Fantasy 15 a total of maybe 3 hours.
Ooh, you got me beat.
Maybe, and then I sold it.
Aren't
to get
those games
something
all like
else.
70 hours?
Maybe
if
if you
you're
rush through
speedrunning
it.
it.
Yeah. Like to give
If
you
you
an
don't take
idea.
the time to fish.
So you haven't played Final Fantasy games?
No.
Okay, so to give you an idea, like the speed runs for Final Fantasy games during like Games Done Quick or whatever, I think Final Fantasy 7 is still like 7 hours.
Yeah.
And that's like, when did that game come out? Like 20 years ago?
Yeah, at least
Yeah.
20 years.
And
I saw the
They can't get
comparison
faster
shots
than that.
because they just put out the trailer for the remake.
Ooh, that's gonna
I've
be
been
fun.
living for the comparison shots of the old one versus the new
So they're
one.
completely different games.
Are they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they
play
changed
styles
a
are
lot.
completely different, which is cool. I think it's
no,
really
I
cool.
thought you meant like they're just calling it 7, but it's not even the same story or anything.
No, it's
Oh,
the same
yeah,
story.
same
but
story.
But isn't that
Gravity
like people
Magic.
hated the play style of 7, didn't they? Like it was hard.
I heard it was pretty
Wait,
notorious.
Final,
like
Final
it,
Fantasy 7?
Yeah.
I loved it.
No. People loved Final
Yeah,
Fantasy.
it was a
7.
3D version
Yeah, it was-
of the classic style of
Yeah,
Final
it
Fantasy.
was
Well,
And
awesome.
that didn't change until 8.
Yeah,
I guess 8. It did change.
wait.
It changed right away, I guess. Damn
Wait,
it.
did it change in 8?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think, yeah.
The
it
interactions
did.
with the world was completely different. They introduced
Yeah.
Blitzball or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emma, what are... I think we've all kind of talked about some awful ones, but I don't think you've talked about any of the ones on your list for the ones that you hate. The sequels
Oh,
that you
well,
hate.
we talked about Bioshock 2 and Duke Nukem Forever. And my other one is a weird one because it's like... It's a franchise where, like, the first game is really good, the second game is a phenomenal sequel, and the third game was terrible.
Lego Island. I knew it.
How you just gonna steal my thunder like that?
Is it Lego Star Wars?
It's not Lego. It's the Tomb Raider reboot.
Oh.
Rise of the Tomb Raider is
Oh,
a
okay.
phenomenal sequel. I fucking
Okay.
love Rise of the Tomb Raider is better than the reboot Tomb Raider in every single way, which is hard to
good.
do because the first reboot is a phenomenal game.
I love that. That was the first game that I 100%ed.
It's so good. And Rise of the Tomb Raider, like, I spent, like, hours and hours and hours 100%ing it. Because
Yeah.
it's, like, 3 times as long as the first one. There's way more room to explore. The game is just better in every single way. Shadow of the Tomb Raider sucks.
Yeah, I heard it was not a great, like, successor.
That was, and, like... You remember I was, like, so
You were
excited.
super
I
hyped
was
for it.
so excited.
Well,
I got, like,
we all
Legendary
were.
Edition of the game. I was so hyped. Like, I was, like, for months before I was
Yikes.
like, this is my shit.
You were
This is gonna be
doing
so good.
you were doing cosplay, like Lara Croft cosplay, to like build up excitement
I was
for it.
so ready, and then
Yeah.
it was crap.
Do you think you just had way too high of expectations?
No, I mean, that might be part of it. That might be why I felt so much disappointment, but it actually is, like, a much worse game.
Damn.
It's way shorter, especially than Rise. It's way shorter than Rise. And I got to a point where, like, I was super bored with the story. I just wasn't engaged. And I finally got to a point where I was like, I feel like I'm, like, finally getting into it. Like, I'm finally starting to hit a point where the story is starting to build into something. And then I beat the game 20 minutes later. And it was the end. I was like,
wow.
What the fuck was that? Like, it took
Yeah.
the entire game for me to give a shit about the story. The nice thing about it, and the only thing that was good about it, is it did get back to its roots, and that there are a lot more puzzles. There are more tombs to do. There are more puzzles, which is great, but it feels like they sacrifice time in everything else to put more tombs in. And then, like, you can get DLC for more tombs. And I'm just like, what the fuck is it? Like, it's just a bad game. I was very upset about it. And, like, the longer I had to, like, ruminate on it, I was like, I just didn't like this bit. So you went from a really, really good sequel, which is one of my favorite sequels of all time, to one of the biggest disappointments.
Interesting.
What a bummer.
That constitutes a bad sequel.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
And then I think the only one I didn't... Oh, Portal 2 is on my list of really good ones.
Yeah.
Oh, really good
for
ones.
sure.
Okay.
Like sometimes when like a decent game comes out and then the sequel comes out and it's usually better, but like Portal was so good, and for Portal 2 to be so much better was very impressive.
I still have yet to play Portal 2. Portal 1 I love.
It's so good.
But I need to play Portal 2.
You should play Portal 2, and then we can co-op it, because there's 2 different modes. Like, there's the story mode that you can play through, and then there's a separate co-op thing that you can go through.
I'll play it.
Can you play Portal in the Vive?
Oh my god, let's find out.
You must, right?
Oh my god, I want to do this. You could like walk.
Something.
You could walk through a portal in VR. This is blowing my mind.
You're gonna get yourself.
Oh my god, you can do that thing where
we're never gonna see her again.
Nope.
You put one on the floor and on the ceiling, and you're just falling forever, but in VR.
I feel like
I've been falling for 30 minutes.
Okay, Loki.
Oh my god, I have to find out if there's a mod for this.
Good lord, I played the first one on PC and I got stuck. I couldn't get myself out of the portal enough, so I just kept like, and then like the more you go through, the faster it gets, and the faster it gets, and I had to like. I had to do something to like turn the computer off because I was gonna throw up. I was getting myself motion sickness. And you want to do that in VR?
Yeah.
Good lord.
I love how one of the things that I remember most about Portal is the way they explain everything, because like that's kind of it's not the easiest concept to explain to younger people, especially. And one of my favorite things is they talk about the preservation of momentum. So like when you fall and like you make yourself go faster, and they just like. Speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out. And that's how they explained it. And it was so perfect. And I was like, I get this.
I just love the signs.
I understand physics.
The tutorial signs.
Sticking with the list of awful sequels, we have Pac-Man 2, The New Adventures.
I didn't know there were numbered Pac-Man games.
I didn't either.
This one's really weird.
That's not a Pac-Man game. I'm looking at the picture of it. That is not a Pac-Man game.
Much like Taylor's distaste for Fallout 3 for what it did to the Fallout genre, Pac-Man 2 did the same thing. Took you from a top-down to a side-scroller, and you're in the town. It's interesting.
It's just not Pac-Man.
Oh, that's Pac-Man right there. Look at him.
That's a yellow blob, but it's not Pac-Man.
That's weird looking. It was on the Wii U Virtual Console. Speaking of the Wii U, another one on this list is New Super Mario Bros. U, which is
was the Wii U just like a terrible generation or something?
Yeah, you want to borrow one?
Pretty much.
No, I really don't.
Pretty much.
It because of the way that it was designed, and I also think because of the marketing. Like you have like the Wii. That sold so many units and whatnot, and then you come behind it and you have a thing that's basically almost named the exact same.
Oh yeah.
And then you got this like not a dongle, but you know the wow, I can't believe I owned the Wii U and I don't even the gamepad. Then you have the gamepad.
Yeah.
And that thing is supposed to be, integral. That was really Nintendo like, okay, let's try to adopt the tablet and like make it part of it. But I think if they would have put more money towards hardware, which Nintendo never does,
then they will have come out with the Switch,
before,
5 years earlier. Yeah,
exactly.
Always old technology.
Always old technology
because
because that's how they are able to keep it at affordable pricing. Yeah. But the other thing was developers found it incredibly difficult to develop games for because you had to also include the gamepad.
Yeah,
and it was
and
just
that
it was a
informs
mess.
design, and that's taboo.
So
hardware companies shouldn't be dictating design in games.
No.
New Super Mario Bros. U is on my list of 15 pointless sequels.
Oh yeah.
And it says basically the same thing. It says it's basically just an expansion pack for the Wii game. The
Mario Kart 8
the
Deluxe.
in-game, yeah, right. The in-game assets and animations are the same. The environments are the same. The gameplay is pretty much the same. Like, it's the same game. It's just now you can play on the tablet too.
I mean, to put it frank, the Wii U was coming out. They needed a Mario Brothers game
They did.
to throw in there. So naturally, what do they do?
Nintendo makes the same shit over and over and over again.
This is true, but
Sometimes it's okay.
Exactly. Sometimes it's okay.
So they say. You know what we missed in talking about sequels that like improved on the game in every single way?
What?
Sims 2.
Oh, absolutely.
What a phenomenal
Honestly,
sequel.
Most of the Sims games.
Yes.
I didn't really enjoy 4 that much, but
Going
3
from
was so
3 to
good.
4, going from 1 to 2 was massive
Yeah.
change. Going from 2 to 3 was a pretty solid change, and 3 to 4 was a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, I own every expansion for 3.
Yeah, me too. That was that's why going from 3 to 4 was such a bummer, because 3 was out for so long and had so many expansions and so many different like packs and stuff that when you go to 4. It's just vanilla, and you're missing like 90% of what you liked to do in the game at that point. I'm just like, what the fuck? So that they can then make all the expansion packs again and sell them to you again. I'm like, if I went to pirate, I would just pirate all of these.
I did think that Sims 4 played really well, though.
It did. It was, but yeah, like Sims 2 is like a massive technological advancement for sequels. Like,
I mean, we can keep it going for Max's. SimCity 2000 was so good.
I had that
my
game.
gosh, that game was awesome.
I had that game
I build things up. It's a very Emma thing for me to do. I build things up and
just
I
to
go,
tear them down.
hurricane!
Yeah. How flood-proof
Watch it
is
go.
this town? Ooh.
Not terrible.
This is
Did
not
not put in
This
levies.
is not up to code. There are 0 levies. Who's the
Roller
city?
coaster.
This is definitely Sacramento.
Tycoon 2.
I love all the
Roller Coaster Tycoon
games.
2 was the shit.
Oh, the roller coaster games.
Because then you would like make your park, and then there was the park that would pop up next to yours, and it's like, this park's doing better than yours. So you would make one that ends, but like not finish the coaster, and it shoots people off, but they die in the other park because it like catapults them. So all the deaths go to that park, and
should
your
run for
park's
city
ratings are
council.
better, and that's how you did it. Like I'm telling you, if you play Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, that's how you fuck with the park next to you,
All right,
that's trying to
guys.
come up on your territory.
This is how we get California out of the deficit. What we're going to do is we're going to build something so when people die, they die in Nevada. That way
Catapults them out.
It looks like California is the safest state to live in, and Nevada just gets fucked. Vote for Emma. City Council 2020.
I think that's my platform.
You're a campaign manager.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it
just
too
saying.
far-fetched? It's-
Catapult the bodies like they're green skins or something like
Yeah,
that.
there you go.
Right over the state line. It's your problem now. California has the lowest death rate.
What are you talking about? Elon Musk
It
lives
might-
here. Let's
it
just
might
fucking shoot everybody into
improve Reno.
space.
Oh, good point.
It look like nobody dies here because we'll just put all the dead bodies into space.
That's when you
Can't
run
prove it.
for
There's no body.
It's true.
That's frightening.
Elon Musk could murder somebody and we would never know.
You came up with that very quickly.
Even if
you
I
can't
knew-
prove it if there's no body.
Like, I have a Tesla, you know?
There's
it's,
circumstance. Yeah. There's, there's
when you bought
good
that
and
car,
bad
you like
reasons.
signed on to be a character witness in his future trial. It's part of the
Gotta read the
contract.
fine
That's how you
print.
get like axed from the jury. It's like, do you own a Tesla? Oh yeah.
Oh, if they never
yeah.
ask you, by the
Yeah,
way,
yeah, yeah,
I own a Tesla.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Oh man, you guys play any of the Uncharted games?
Love all of them.
Have not played any of them.
So I was going to
Really
ask
want
you
to.
earlier, and then I remembered that we had talked previously, and you said you hadn't played Uncharted. I was going to ask if Uncharted was a better Crash Bandicoot game than the reboot,
Wow.
because you can play Crash Bandicoot in Uncharted.
What?
You can't?
Oh, that's right. It's Naughty Dog.
What?
Okay, well, now I have to play Uncharted.
You got a PlayStation.
I do.
I
You
have.
want to borrow the Uncharted?
I think I have them
series?
all.
Oh, okay, good.
I have.
Because they came out and like with like a pack for the PS4, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
1, 2, and
that's
3.
what I
have. 'Cause I have that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 1, 2, and 3 in the pack, and then
And then I have Uncharted 4
4.
too as well.
Oh, okay.
And I've never fucking played any of them.
Wow. Just sitting
Wow.
on gold.
I know. I have a lot of games I haven't played.
Destiny 2.
Good or bad?
I think it's a good sequel only because Destiny 1 was mostly incomplete until the end of it.
Yeah, until they start coming out with DLC.
So is that a
Complete the
fair, good sequel?
I think
Because
Destiny 2.
there'll be a lot of good sequels out there if that's the measurement.
Yeah, right. Destiny 2 is basically just Destiny, and the thing is like they undid a lot of the things that they changed in the first one, and Destiny 2 I didn't feel was. It was more complete.
So again, good or bad? I can't really tell where we're going here.
Or
just it was a sequel.
It was good for Destiny fans.
See, I have fun playing Destiny, but I acknowledge that they make crappy decisions, and it's not the best game. And it's basically Halo reskinned.
The game was dead to me when they got rid of Peter Dinklage.
Oh, I was so mad, and there's
the
so
reasoning
many
was
happy.
Just bad.
What was it?
It was like
he didn't have enough
fan
emotion
outcry,
or something?
and they thought he wasn't emotional enough yet. There was some
He's
like
a fucking robot.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
The defense is better than the argument, that's for sure.
It was so bad. I love the fact that it was Peter Dinklage, but yeah, no, I was pretty upset when they got rid of him.
I don't know what anybody was expecting. I didn't expect anything more than we got out of him being the Ghost. Yeah. You know what though? So Destiny to Destiny 2, yeah, it was an improvement, whatever, but The Division was such a good game, and The Division 2 is so much better.
So,
I have heard that.
Oh,
I have heard that
The
too.
Division 2 was really
The
good.
Division, I fell out after I beat the story. I kind of fell out because there was a whole lot of end game besides just going into PvP.
Oh, that's the best part.
But the
ruining
Division,
somebody's day
Wow.
for hours.
I played the beta for The Division, and that's all I ever played.
played the beta.
Again,
and we were
Again, I
like,
have
this
the
is really
game. I
cool.
just never played it.
The combat in it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like the
It
cover
is.
mechanic is
really
perfect.
good. It's fun. And
It's
then
everything Gears of War wanted to be.
and never was. Speaking of Gears of War, I have on 11 Worst.
Is it 4?
4, it's gotta
I
be.
think it's
No,
4.
Judgment.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 4. Let me find it.
Because I never played Judgment.
Oh, hang on. Because I just gazed past this, and I want to talk about this. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Never played any of those
Never
games.
played it.
I played the first one.
I played Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, I played
I played
Banjo,
Banjo-Kazooie.
I
I
didn't even know
love
there was a
Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, Banjo was dope. It was a fun game.
I did not play Banjo-Tooie. I didn't know
that
that
a
was
thing?
a thing.
Is that what
That's
it's
a thing.
called?
Banjo-Tooie.
That's upsetting.
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is described in this article as if you showed someone the N64 classic Banjo-Kazooie from a long distance on a particularly foggy day, then ask that person to make another game in the franchise, the result wouldn't be dissimilar to Nuts and Bolts.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since it's a perfectly competent game, but the problem is that it's so utterly lacking in any of the charm or fun that made the original such a blast to play, and it does not improve on the 90s platformer style. And this was announced in 2008. Or this was released in 2008.
I mean, you don't always have to improve on things.
Just don't make them
it
be
shittier.
worse.
Myst
Yeah.
has a bunch of sequels from way later. That
I saw
didn't
Myst
improve
4
on, it.
on one of the worst sequels lists.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Speaking of improving on things, the IGN logo got so much better than this old one.
The D-pad?
What is the IGN logo right there? Look how... The new one's so much better. It's a sequel.
This is now an IGN podcast.
No, it's a sequel to. It's a sequel logo. So we're still on.
Sponsored by PC Gamer now.
Sponsored by PC Gamer. Yeah,
This
'cause
logo
we just lost our
sucks.
IGN. All right. So what? So what are some other?
There it is. You're scrolling through.
Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link.
It's so bad.
Just like Taylor said.
I think I played. So I played. I played the first Zelda, but I never finished it. Like
It's
that
good.
was that was back in the day when I was a kid, and so I would just play the game, and I never really kind of thought oh, there's an end to this. I would just play it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
I played a shit ton of Ocarina of Time.
Skipped A Link to the Past?
I
A Link to
did.
the Past.
Yeah, I
I
did.
skipped all of them.
I mean, that's fine. It's fine if you don't play the whole
You'll play
series.
all of them, yeah.
Honestly,
But
if
to
you
play the first
started
one,
at Ocarina
skip
of
2
Time,
them and then
Yeah.
go to the 4.
that wouldn't be such a bad thing.
And then I played one of the side ones on the Game Boy 3DS, something
Four
Triforce
Swords?
tournament.
Oh.
Not tournament. Triwizard tournament. No, that's something
That's
different.
Harry Potter.
Triwizard Cup.
No, but you play as 3 links, just different colors, and then you could stack on top of each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like the guy
Yeah, they
from
had...
BoJack.
Was that the Game Boy Advance?
Was it Game Boy Advance? Or, I think it was the Game Boy 3DS. Maybe I think they had one on the
Or
Advance.
the DS? The regular
The DS. No, because it was on the 3DS when I played it.
What is happening?
It
There's
might,
so
it,
many
might,
Zelda games.
it might have been the one that
There are
came out for
so many
DS,
Zelda
but you
games.
could play DS games on the 3DS. So
No,
that-
because it was
no,
a new one.
wasn't-
'Cause I played it as a review when I was a writer for Nerd Reactor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Brag about it.
Yeah, humble brag.
Hold up.
Strange
yeah,
flex,
thank you.
but okay.
Thank you. Weird flex, but okay.
I was about to say
Spot on.
Injustice 2 And I was like thinking, that was like way, way different. Like it was way more in depth. And then I remembered that I played Injustice 1 on the iPad. That's probably why it felt like a much bigger jump to me going from Injustice to Injustice. Because there was an iPad version of Injustice that was actually quite good. It was quite fun for an iPad game.
I'm still one of those people. Weird
so
people.
If you go from Injustice on the iPad to Injustice 2, that's a phenomenal sequel.
I bet.
It's a really great upgrade.
I still like Mortal Kombat versus DC better than both of those games.
Really? I had a lot of fun playing those. I haven't played any of the Injustice ones.
They're not bad. They're fun. I feel like I shouldn't play them now that we know NetherRealm's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I feel guilty playing
Right?
them. Going back to the list of pointless video game sequels, Gears of War 4.
Yeah.
I think Judgment was a much more
It says-
pointless sequel than 4.
I love these descriptions. Gears of War 4 is the definition of fine. Does it add anything new to the standard Gears of War formula? Nope. You're still going to spend the entire campaign, multiplayer mode, and horde mode scuttling around, smashing into chest-high cover, and shooting chunky guns.
And chainsawing.
That
Always the chainsaw.
was one of the satisfying things.
Yeah. I actually didn't finish 4. I was so excited for Gears of War 4, and I never finished it.
I have not played any of the Gears.
'Cause I love
I've
1,
only
2, and 3.
Finished one Gears game.
Which one? The first one? That's good. I love 1, 2, and 3. Judgment came out, and I would put that as a much more pointless sequel than 4. Because it's a completely different, like, play style, and it's different, like, it's different characters. They switched, I think that one focuses on Baird. I was like, who cares? Nobody cares about Baird. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Somebody did. They
Nobody
just
did.
happened to work there.
Yeah. Here's one for the pointless list. Halo 5.
I disagree on pointless.
Yeah.
I disagree.
There's arguments to be made for people that didn't like it.
Yeah.
But it's not like it did start a whole new story. It did start an entire new trilogy.
Let's see if you guys agree with the description. While Halo 4 was a pretty pointless sequel, it was also like a neat new flavor of Doritos. Unnecessary from a dietary perspective, and excessive after the heights of Halo 3 Nacho Cheese and Halo Reach Cool Ranch.
Cool Ranch is disgusting.
But surprisingly tasty and well developed. Heck, it even acted as a nice epilogue to the narrative of Halo 3, albeit an unneeded one.
Heck.
You know who hated Halo 5?
Who?
Pro Halo players.
Really?
Why?
Like the controls or whatever were just sloppy in comparison.
Halo 5 was... I liked it. I mean, it's different. I think it got very different
It's
after.
very different.
When the Master Chief Collection came out, they all started playing Halo 2 again.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Every one of them.
Every single
Every
one.
of them
Our buddy did.
immediately went back to Halo 2.
Absolutely. I remember when they shut down the Halo 2 servers originally, and there was like that one group of guys that were just like, we're going to stay on. We're going to stay on as long as we can.
Those nameless soldiers.
And I will remember them for the rest of my life. I don't know their names, but I will remember them. And Bungie eventually had to like physically kick them out of the server.
All right, guys, it's closing.
It's time to go, yeah.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
You're not even playing the game.
Yeah.
But 5 was like the only thing I hated. I didn't like the enemies in 5. I didn't like the Forerunners,
the Prometheans.
The Prometheans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hated them. Hated their weapons.
So irritating. I hated how they teleported. I hated everything. About them.
But the story was fine.
Yeah, the story was good. Sonic the Hedgehog 4, Episode 2.
There's episodes?
Apparently, after the not so hot release of Sonic 4, Episode 1, it was time for Sega to hit the drawing board and pull out all the stops for Episode 2. That meant overhauling the jarring physics, the graphical look, level design, music composition, style, basically everything.
Is that where it started to become
Yeah.
like that 3D animated, like smooth animation kind of shit?
I don't know, because I played very little of the Sonic
What's
games.
the one that they're playing in that Game Grumps video? Anybody? Nobody?
Describe it, because I haven't seen the video.
Where he's just talking about, God, what are they're playing? I want to say they might be playing as Shadow. But it's the not fucking this video where he's like, you got to ask yourself, what are you willing to put up with today? Not fucking this.
Is it one of the like Wii ones or whatever?
I have no idea, but like whatever that game is, that game
there
fucking
was a
sucks.
whole game that centered around Shadow.
But Sonic was really good. Sonic and Tails. Was Sonic the Hedgehog 2 where they brought in Tails?
I think so.
Because that was solid.
That was a solid one.
And then Knuckles comes in also in 2, I want to say.
2 or 3, I can't remember.
Somebody in chat says I look crisp. That makes me uncomfortable. Don't know what that means.
Interesting.
No, the emotes, not the Emma.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
like-
okay.
I don't know how to take that, but all right.
All right.
Someone's full of themselves.
So if we, you guys can hear the sound of the closing music. Before we completely go off, let's just leave with some final thoughts. 1 and 2 sentences of, if you can sum it up this way. And what do you think makes a good sequel for a game?
I believe what makes a good sequel for the game is one of two things. Either A, you find out the core of what makes that the first game great and relatable, and then you stick to that, but just give slightly different take. Or you look at the game and you have to see, okay, how far in the future do we need to take it, and you completely make it so different, but you keep the characters that people like intact, the characterization.
Okay. Emma?
I think absolutely keeping in mind what your core player base likes about the game and not fucking with that. Don't change that.
Said nobody ever.
I think keeping in mind,
just
one person. Keeping in mind what the core base of your game is built around and staying true to that, improving on what needs to be improved on, and not fucking with things that are fine. Because that's where you get into trouble. Is where you're like, we made massive improvements to this thing. It's like nobody asked for that.
No, nobody asked.
And now everybody hates it. What about you?
For me, it's a lot of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. But if you are going to change it, don't make it a story sequel, right? Make a whole new game. Sure, call it the same title or whatever, but make it a whole new thing.
Right.
Yeah. Something that Assassin's Creed, they all kind of have this story arc between them, but they're all very isolated storylines, right?
Right, because you had one, and then you went into the Ezio trilogy, and then you went into Connor. It was all different people.
Yeah,
exactly. I forgot to mention Unity as a bad technical sequel.
Oh yeah,
because that was
the awful one, huh?
It was actually a fine game. It just was buggy as shit.
They absolutely gave people nightmares with those people's skin missing.
It was real bad.
Yeah,
but yeah, it really try not to reinvent the predecessor if it's going to be a story sequel. Yeah. I have no problem with games really remixing things like GTA 3 being different than GTA 2. I give Fallout 3 a lot of shit because I have so much love for 1 and 2. But it is a good game.
Says only Taylor.
It says only me. Yeah, I'm probably one of the few people that is upset about Fallout 3.
You guys pretty much covered all the bases. I think it's important to listen to your player base, not just stray too far from what made your original, or even going further, you got 1, 2, and then you're making a third. What made the first 2 so good, and then improving on it if you can, but not changing it or taking it out, because that's what your player base is expecting. I think that's when a lot of game developers kind of start shooting themselves in the foot, and they think this went so well, let's make another one, and we're gonna make it brand new, and it's no, don't fuck with it. If you don't
need to reinvent the wheel.
You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You need to break the wheel. Speaking of breaking the wheel, that is it for this show, guys. But make sure to check out our Bang of Thrones as we recap the Game of Thrones episodes of the week. You just get $1 on Patreon, and you can have access to it.
I'm scared.
I'm scared for my apartment.
You should be.
Because just bring your checkbook with you. You can get all the damage you want. Just
I'm a millennial. You think I have a checkbook?
Venmo me.
Yeah, there you go.
Take Apple Pay?
Yeah, Apple Pay. I'll take Apple Pay, Snap Cash. That's the thing, everybody. Snap Cash is the thing.
I'll send you money over Facebook Messenger.
That's fine. I do that all the time, actually. So make sure to check that out. $1 on Patreon gives you access to it. We are 2 episodes away from the finale, and this last one, we were not thrilled with it. It is almost 2 hours long.
It's longer than the episode.
It's longer than the episode, and it's all of the shitty things that happened in the episode. We break it down for you, so go check that out. Emma, it is Saturday, so you do not have a schedule for next week.
I do not.
Follow Emma on Twitter at Emmaskies for her streaming schedule. Kurt, you have a streaming
schedule?
A schedule?
A schedule. I do not, but just expect some random 6-hour streams again now that I got my PS4 Pro and I don't have to do any ridiculous errands next week. Oh, and comic book reading. Comic book reading. Yeah, expect more of that as well.
Taylor, do you have anything to plug / promote?
Just don't forget to spay and neuter your pets. That's all I got, man.
All right.
And you missed a great opportunity to say, you got to plug in my Tesla and charge it because I have an electric car.
I do, yeah. Thank you, Emma.
You're welcome.
You're a good hype man.
Yikes.
Strange flex assist, but okay.
Yeah.
Weird flex, bro. That is our show, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. For Emmaskies, Taylor, Curtis Fisher, I am the real David Webb saying, we'll see you next week.